My dear child, there is something about this woman that deeply unsettles your soulmate, and the reason may not be what you expect. Your soulmate is terrified that she might tell you something they desperately want to keep hidden. Whenever her name is mentioned, whenever someone talks about her, or even when there is a possibility that you might speak to her, your soulmate immediately becomes extremely cautious and uneasy. There is a reason for this fear, and soon, the truth may come to light. This woman has information about their past that you were never taught, so don't skip. Your soulmate would never interfere with their current feelings for you because they thought that chapter was over. However, this woman has been acting differently lately. She is no longer prepared to keep quiet. Your sweetheart is terrified because they can sense it. She knows a reality that can prompt you to ask a question your partner has been putting off for a very long time, not because they secretly want her. This gets even more unexpected, so stay until the very end. Although your soulmate may have dismissed this woman from their past as inconsequential, their past held greater significance than they acknowledged. She was acquainted with your soulmate during a really poignant period. She observed tough choices, heard promises, and is fully aware of what transpired prior to your arrival in their lives. Because they were afraid you may misinterpret an old story and wonder what is going on between you now, your soulmate never told you everything. However, concealing it has led to a more serious issue. This woman might get in touch with you first, and if she shares the tale without your soulmate there to clarify what actually transpired, the sound of everything could be altered by one missing detail. The greatest secret is more than just this woman's identity, thus something enormous is in store for you. It's what she understands about how your soulmate feels about you. She saw when your soulmate understood you were becoming more significant than anyone had anticipated. Even she was shocked by what they talked about you when no one else was around. That could be the reason for her prolonged silence. However, she lately had a change of heart. Your soulmate is also aware of it. They now have to make a decision that they will never be able to avoid. Either they tell you the whole truth or they run the danger of letting this woman tell you first. And your soulmate's sudden sense that time is running out can be explained by what has transpired between them. Because of a recent event that made your soulmate realize she might eventually speak, it is now hard to ignore the silence between you and this woman. The moment was tiny on the exterior but huge on the inside, so hold on to this. She inquired about you in an unexpected way. Something so basic that no one else would have noticed, yet your soulmate knew right away what she was truly asking. She wanted to know if you had heard the whole tale. The solution came from your soulmate's hesitancy. Everything changed after that. She was quite clear that she didn't want to sabotage your relationship, but she also didn't want to act as though some things had never happened. Your soulmate was peaceful, therefore that scared her more than rage could. She wasn't stirring up trouble or threatening anyone. She just appeared prepared to let go of a secret that was never hers to keep. Don't skip because your partner realized all of a sudden that there was a countdown because you were evading the truth. You had the chance to hear the narrative from someone else every day they waited. Additionally, they are still unaware of something else. It's possible that she has already made up her mind about what she wants to tell you. She is aware of something more profound than a past emotional bond. She understands why, before meeting you, your soulmate became so cautious. She recalls the disappointment that altered their faith in others, the subsequent promises they made to themselves, and the finest possible moment when those vows started to break apart as a result of you. Your soulmate had persuaded themselves that they would never again form a close bond. The fences they had painstakingly constructed abruptly stopped functioning when you showed up. Almost no one else saw the shift until this woman did. She witnessed your soul partner reading your messages, becoming silent whenever your name was mentioned, and standing up for you when someone misinterpreted you. She also heard a confession your lover never thought anybody would remember, so stay until the very end. Your partner once confessed that their feelings for you scared them since they felt more serious than they had anticipated. They said the pain of losing you would be different. This woman's perspective on the whole thing was altered by that admission. She realized that the beginning between you and your soulmate was far more powerful than any past they may have had. However, there was still one unanswered question, and your love opted for silence rather than an explanation. At the worst conceivable time, that choice is coming back. And this is the point at which everything intensifies. Your sweetheart has begun to consider informing you first, since they are aware that the truth will sound entirely different when it comes from them. This woman is linked to a decision your soulmate made about their future, and you unintentionally become the reason that decision altered, therefore something significant is waiting for you. It never occurred to you that your soulmate would love you so much. They had no idea that you would stay by their side in the future. But as such emotions became unavoidable, they discreetly left behind something they had once valued. This woman is aware of exactly what they left behind, and she is aware that it occurred after your soulmate came to understand how much you meant to them. That's what's lacking. Your partner is not afraid to confess that they secretly picked her. They are afraid she would disclose how drastically their plans were altered because they went with their feelings for you. However, there is still one question. Why has your sweetheart been keeping it a secret if that fact truly demonstrates how significant you have become? One promise they made to this woman before you ever learned the whole tale holds the key to the solution, and it's about to become unachievable. This woman was never meant to reach you, but your soulmate's vow has turned into the main cause of the tension. Once, your soulmate decided to keep some information from their shared past confidential. This wasn't because the information was embarrassing, but rather because they both thought that chapter had closed and that reopening it would only cause confusion. Then you started to matter. All of a sudden, honoring that pledge meant withholding anything from your partner. This woman lately reminded them of that previous arrangement, but she added something your sweetheart never anticipated, so don't skip. Now, things are different. Everything was altered by those few words. She thinks you should know why your soulmate changed their entire course after meeting you and why they made the decisions they did. Although your soulmate made an effort to persuade themselves that there was still time, they understood deep down that the conversation was inevitable. The most peculiar thing is that this woman doesn't seem to want your soulmate back. She wants the truth to be accepted. Because of this, your soulmate cannot be dismissed by calling her jealous or acting as though she is ignorant. She was present. She saw what transpired. She also recalls a specific evening when your sweetheart finally acknowledged that their love for you had surpassed their dread of beginning anew. The reason your sweetheart has been acting so strangely might be explained by what transpired during that conversation, so stay until the very end. They were unable to respond to this woman's question right away. Why haven't you told them everything if this person is so important to you? Your soulmate fell silent. There was no simple answer. They didn't think about how the quiet could appear if you found out in a different way because they had spent so much time thinking they were safeguarding your connection. They thought about the question ever since. They started going over every exchange they had with you, every instance in which they came close to confessing, and every chance they had to say, "There is something you should know about my past." This woman also disclosed that she had preserved something your soulmate believed was long forgotten, thus something enormous is waiting for you. A recollection of the precise moment they made the emotional decision to choose you before they even acknowledged it to themselves. She recalls how your partner spoke of you with an undisguised tenderness. She recalls them telling her that being in your presence restored hope for the future. Your sweetheart never thought those words would be important in the future, but they are today. Because if you talk to this woman, she will tell you more than just the secret history. She might also show you how much your partner loved you before you knew it. However, there is one last aspect that has caused your sweetheart more anxiety than everything else put together. This woman recently made a suggestion that she is aware that you might have misinterpreted anything from the past, something you saw, heard about, or asked in private but were never given a thorough explanation for. Your lover understood what she meant right away. This could be the pivotal moment, so don't miss it. Pieces that never seemed to fit together might finally come together thanks to the truth she bears. Your soulmate is aware that once you hear it, you might be able to comprehend why they occasionally withdrew, why they appeared prepared to talk at times before abruptly becoming silent, and why this woman's presence consistently altered their mood. They weren't necessarily keeping their affections for her a secret. They were concealing the intricate tale of how that chapter came to an end and how swiftly their hearts started to turn toward you. Your partner has now reached the stage where being silent seems riskier than being honest. Before anyone else does, they are getting ready to finally explain everything. However, this woman said something entirely unexpected just as they felt they understood what she was going to reveal. She revealed to your soulmate an additional element about what transpired at the time that even they were unaware of, something she had only lately learned. Additionally, the woman declined to clarify her meaning over the phone when your partner inquired about it. She stated that she wanted to notify just one person first. You were that individual. Your soulmate's entire being changed when they learned that this woman wanted to talk to you directly because they were no longer in control of how or when the truth would be revealed. They became aware for the first time that waiting had taken on a life of its own. Hold on until the very end because what transpired next highlighted a crucial aspect of their anxiety. Your partner didn't ask to avoid you right away. Rather, they posed a single query. What precisely will you tell them? Your soulmate's mind would rush just from the woman's delay before responding. At last, she expressed her frustration at seeing you misinterpret a story since you were never given all the pieces. She maintained that she wasn't attempting to keep you apart. She really stated that the whole truth might have the opposite effect. Your sweetheart will get even more perplexed if you skip. Why had this woman waited until now if she knew something that may demonstrate their genuine affections for you? Her response caught me off guard. She claimed to have been waiting for your soulmate to have the guts to tell you. But after witnessing their repeated delays, she lost faith that the time would arrive without any pressure. Then she spoke something that your soulmate had never heard before. The previous mistake had been maintained by someone else. Suddenly, your soulmate started asking you questions, but she wouldn't tell you everything at once. She clarified that someone close to the issue had recounted an incomplete version of what transpired after their last chapter concluded. Your soulmate's decisions might have been entirely different in the absence of one crucial conversation. This woman was reportedly one of the few who truly understood what was said, therefore something enormous is waiting for you. She recalled that when your soulmate realized how deeply they felt for you, they made it apparent that they could no longer live emotionally in the past. For the first time in a long time, their hearts were being drawn to something real, and she recalled them choosing uncertainty with you above familiarity and comfort. However, your soulmate didn't tell you this because they were afraid it would sound like they were comparing you to someone else. They kept quiet because they thought their deeds would finally speak loudly enough. Rather, questions were raised by the lack of explanation. This woman is now seeking answers to those queries. The thing that scares your sweetheart the most is that she has a detail that they are unable to explain. She can pinpoint the precise moment when everything changed. She is aware of the day, the exchange, and the words your soulmate used to acknowledge that they could no longer ignore you. However, the woman then disclosed the reason behind her abrupt decision to come forward, and your partner was unprepared for this time. Before any of them could describe what had happened, she had recently found out that someone was thinking of telling you a twisted version of the old narrative. This implied that the quiet was no longer innocuous. Your sweetheart saw the danger right away, so don't skip. Every explanation that follows could come seen as an excuse if you initially heard the incorrect version. That was not what this woman wanted. She wouldn't allow anyone else to change the past that existed between her and your soulmate. She wanted you to know that long before anyone anticipated how serious the relationship would become, your soulmate had made a free and heartfelt decision about you. She was still withholding one last piece, though. When your lover insisted on knowing what it was, she responded with a statement that left them dumbfounded. You're afraid I'll tell them who I was to you, but you should be more concerned about telling them who they were to you from the very beginning. Your partner instantly understood. The identity of this woman was never the greatest secret. It was the extent to which your soulmate had subtly transformed as a result of their early recognition of something exceptional in you. The next chat may ultimately reveal what your soulmate saw in you before you even realized they were listening, so there's hardly any space left for silence. This woman and your soulmate both recall the precise moment they knew you were becoming unforgettable. It took place long before the quiet, long before the questions remained unanswered, and long before you could have realized what was going on in their hearts. Your soulmate had attempted to talk about you informally, as if you were just another person who happened to cross their path, but this woman saw right away. Every time your name was spoken, their voice altered. They became more focused. Somehow, the talk came back to you even when they attempted to switch topics. Your partner was unable to respond when she finally approached them one evening and asked, "Why are you pretending this person means nothing when everything about you changes when you mention them?" That quiet turn became the solution. This is where the secret story takes a completely different turn than you might have thought, so don't skip it. There was no covert rivalry between you and this woman. She was among the first to realize that your partner was madly in love with you. She also had more knowledge. Because expressing those sentiments would finally close a door from their past that had been emotionally unfinished for far too long, your sweetheart was afraid to do so. Your soulmate's terror of this woman telling you that she was once considerably more important than they ever acknowledged can be explained by what transpired subsequently. She was aware that you would think your soulmate had been keeping another love from you if you simply found out who she was without knowing the whole story. However, the reality was more nuanced. Your soulmate's heart had already begun to turn away from everything that belonged to yesterday by the time they fully realized how they felt about you. This woman was present when they came to that revelation, thus something enormous is waiting for you. She asked your sweetheart if they would regret being with you in an unpredictable future rather than going back to a known place. Your soulmate gave her a look and an answer she will never forget. Walking away from you without realizing the potential of the connection would be a bigger regret. Everything was altered by those words. She realized then that she was no longer in your soulmate's future. You were. However, your soulmate continued to feel guilty about how difficult the change had been, and that guilt turned into silence. They persisted in thinking that they needed the ideal opportunity to tell you everything. However, there is never an ideal time to face a challenging reality. Honesty only takes precedence over fear for a brief period of time. It's getting closer than your lover anticipated. The woman has made the decision that she will no longer keep quiet if someone tries to present you with an inaccurate account. However, she gave your sweetheart one last chance before taking any action. Inform them on your own. Your partner has been thinking about those comments since they are aware that she is correct. Stay with this since your soulmate's confession is more important than this woman's identity. They want you to understand why they hesitated, why they periodically withdrew when their emotions were at their peak, and why they were so terrified of losing something they had hardly given themselves permission to think was conceivable. There is one more discovery, so don't skip it. This woman is aware that soon after your soulmate confessed their affections for you, they made a decision regarding their future that they kept to themselves. Even she comprehended that your soulmate had already decided where their heart wished to go when she happened upon it by chance. Your sweetheart now understands that every perplexing situation may suddenly make sense when you learn about that decision. However, there is one issue. It appears that the person disseminating the unfinished tale has also discovered about this covert choice, and they might be getting ready to get in touch with you before your soulmate has an opportunity to explain their choice.